Hi, I'm Andy Husbands, and this is Smoking 101. I'm the chef and owner of Tremont 647, as well as a member of the competition barbecue team IQ. And so I'm going to talk about smoking and barbecue. And here in New England, when we talk about barbecue, we're talking about having burgers and hot dogs and some knockwurst. But when I talk about barbecue, I'm talking about smoking. And generally between 225 and 275 degrees, indirect cooking with using charcoal or wood. What I'm going to talk about today mainly is what we call a vertical smoker, and that's this guy right here. It's also known as a bullet. There's also other ones which are horizontal. You've probably seen a lot down south. There's brands like a Lang or a Close. We use a Jambo, which is a very expensive, really beautiful piece of equipment. But for the home people often say, you know, what should I use at home? And this is probably one of the most reasonable ones you can get there. And I like it for a multitude of reasons. I'm going to walk you through it. So on the bottom, we have little knobs down here that we can kind of change to allow the air to come all the way through. And it's almost like a convection. It comes all the way through up to the top. Perfect way to cook. In fact, this is how people have been cooking hundreds and hundreds of years. So what I'm going to show you is if we take off the lid here, this is actually where our cooking surface is. And you might think, well, Andy, that's direct cooking. Not really. What happens is if I take off this rack, which is what we cook on, and the other rack, which we can also cook on, what's really cool, which is in here, is this bad boy. And what we'll do is we'll fill this with water, and it works as like an insulator. So it makes it so the fire does not become direct, and it kind of like absorbs the heat directly, but yet lets the smoke and the warmth of the smoke to go through and actually cook the meats. So that's kind of the difference in how vertical smokers work. Where horizontals, the fire will be on one end and they shoot through the pit. Now I'm going to show you how to light this. So here's where we're going to have our fire right here. There's a couple ingredients you definitely need when you are barbecuing. This guy right here is called a chimney. When I was a kid, we used to use coffee cans and the little church key in the bottom, but I don't think people use coffee cans anymore. So this works really, really good. I put that there, and here's my charcoal. I use a hardwood charcoal, and I fill it up like that. Now, hardwood charcoal does burn a little bit hotter, but it's not full of the carcinogens that you see the briquettes in that they hold to bind it together. So it's a cleaner burn. Now you're going to light the bottom. And it's that simple. Because what's going to happen is it's going to create a chimney, hence its name, and the heat will rise up, and this will take about 5 minutes, and it will light. You'll know it's hot enough when you can hold your hand above it for no more than about 10 seconds. You're not looking for it to be raging like you would for a grill or something. Now, other things we're going to use are hardwood charcoal, all different types. A lot of times people use fruit, like a pear, a cherry, an apple. We use a lot of different ones when we compete for different flavors. But oak and hickory is kind of your even one that's not going to be huge in flavors. A lot of times you hear about mesquite, and mesquite is great. But to me, and that's more of a Texas style, it's too big of a flavor for me. And what I really want is the meats to stand out along with the smoke, so kind of they live together. We're going to need this bad boy here. This is to clean our grates, which we'll do in a few minutes. Cold beer, of course, very, very important when you're barbecuing. It takes a long time. And then I have thermometers. I've got this guy right here. What we're going to do is actually drop it down the top of it and kind of let it hang. That way we know what temperature is in there. And then these guys. These are offset thermometers. And what I'll do is a couple things. I will take a potato, like so, cut it in half, send my probe through it, and then just have it sit on the rack. So it's right near the meats, so I know exactly what temperature I'm smoking at. Very, very important. One of the most important things is, and you know, we talk a lot to a lot of new teams that are doing barbecue, and we try to tell them the most important thing is consistent temperature. Don't keep opening it, looking at it. Is it done? Is it not? Have this right next to there. Keep a consistent temperature. Then we'll have another one. So we've got this one sitting right next to the chicken, which we're going to do today. This one I will actually put in the chicken. So now I'm not even curious. I don't need to look at the chicken. I'll know when it's 165 degrees and it's done. My charcoal is hot. I can barely hold my hand above it for 5 seconds, so I know it's nice and hot. What I'm going to do, carefully with my side towel, dump it out like so. You can see that's nice and hot. And now we're going to reassemble the vertical smoker here. Put that on there like so. Open this up so you can see inside. Now we have our water pan. We've got to fill up our water pan. So I'm just going to carefully, slowly pour water in. Whoops. Now don't get any crazy ideas about putting beer or Jack Daniels in here. It won't work, and it's actually rather unsafe to put Jack Daniels in here, as good as it sounds. So we've set up our water pan. We put our bottom rack in. Our top rack. And our front cover. Since we're going to be doing chicken, I have a little oak and hickory. I'm going to throw it in there, just right inside. And put the lid on it. Now, generally you always want to keep this open part here, this top part. You do not want to trap that smoke inside. It will get bitter, and it's probably not something you want. So I'm going to drop this guy in right there so we can kind of monitor the temperature that's occurring. It's important, just like an oven, you want to watch your temperatures. And what I'll do is, and I can see it's jumping up right now, already at 150 degrees, is if I want it hotter, I open up my valves at the bottom. Then I wait 10 minutes because it's not going to happen that quickly. Just like your oven at home, if I turn it from 300 to 350, it's not going to be 350 in 5 seconds. It takes a few minutes. So what I'll do is, and look at this, I'm already at 175 degrees, and I'm looking to get between about 225 to 275 for good smoking. I can smell the aroma of the oak and hickory. It's absolutely delicious. And I'm just going to shut this down a little bit, each side, just to slow down the heat. And I know it seems like just these little tiny knobs that really, do they make a difference? They absolutely do. And you can hold a good temperature in this here for about 3-4 hours. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I want to mention one last thing. I've talked about kind of the essential things we need. I also want to mention that one of these guys, very important here. Now, I'm a pro, but even pros need to have, you know, some protection, right? So, very important you do have that, access to some water around when you're smoking, just in case. Don't want to burn the house down, not on the 4th of July at least. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make the chicken. When doing barbecue, one of the kind of the essentials to barbecue, or the beginning part, is the rub. And there's all different types of rubs out there. There's a Dalmatian rub, there's a white rub, a black rub. This rub here is pretty much kind of my rub it every day, kind of a, just a real consistent, good rub that I like to use pretty much on everything. All I do is it takes brown sugar, white sugar, kosher salt, paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, cayenne, cumin, and chili powder. That simple. This makes about 3 to 4 cups, and if you want, you can store it for months in a cool, dark place. Pretty much that's what you want to do with all your spices. Heat and light really does affect your spices. So I've made my rub here, and now what we're going to do is rub a chicken and smoke it. So I have my whole chicken. Chicken wings work great also, of course. And generally when you're doing barbecue, I like to do bone-in chickens because it's going to stay a little bit juicier. And this is my favorite way to do a whole chicken. I'm going to cut out the backbone here. just by running my knife right down the back, like so, and split it open, just like that. Now I still have the backbone on this side. I'm gonna cut that out just by going on the right side of it, pulling it across, cutting it out. This you could discard or use it for stock. This is how I like to smoke my whole chickens. What I like to do is I'm gonna rub both sides of it, like so, nice and liberally. Flip it over, rub the inside, and I'm gonna cook it just like this. And the reason is, the theory is that the juices stay inside the skin, so it kind of self-based, keeps the flavors inside it, the juiciness inside it as it cooks. We have our smoker already lit, ready to go. And I'm going to put it on the bottom rack. It's a little bit warmer down there, and if I also want to cook something else, the chicken juices are not dropping on top of it, so it kind of enables me to do two things. I'm going to take my offset thermometer, put it right into the thigh. Now that's kind of the place that's going to take the longest to cook, and we want to make sure our chicken is cooked. So I just put that guy right in there like that, right above the water pan. Then I have my potato with my probe in it, put it right next to it so I can monitor the temperature. What's important is that I'm not touching the meat actually, because we want to monitor the temperature in the air around it. Replace my lid, my grill, my lid. So what's great about these is they're magnetic. So I can just put them right on top, boom, boom, like that. I can set my temperature because I want the internal temperature of the chicken to be about 160, because it will carry over cooking to about 165. It's going to take about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the size of chicken, and then we're going to have the best barbecue chicken ever. So the chicken has been cooking for about an hour and a half, and it's 165 degrees. Absolutely perfect. You're going to love this. Remove my top grate here, like so. And then carefully pull out my barbecue chicken. See how beautiful this is? And that is Smoking 101.